Welcome to our lecture on the comparative anatomy and physiology of the male reproductive tract. This presentation was adapted with permission from the lecture of Dr. John J. Parrish. This presentation aims to be able to describe the male reproductive system of selective livestock animals in terms of their physiology and their anatomy. This slide here compares the comparative feature of the testes of domestic animals, particularly livestock, including humans, in terms of the weight of the testes in grams, percent of the body weight of the testes, and the orientation of the testes. So in terms of the weight of the testes, notice here that the bull has about 300 grams weight of the testes. For the boar, that is about 350 grams in average. The boar has the largest weight of the testes relative to its body weight. So while there is a wide range in the weight of the testes in farm animal species, within a species, there tends to be a consistent percentages of the body weight. These constant percentages mean that as the animal gets bigger, the testes also gets bigger. If you have a bigger bull, there is also a tendency for it to have a bigger testes. The same is true for smaller male bull. So for humans, as well as in dogs, stallion, and the as well as the other livestock animal species. So in here now we have here the comparative feature of the weight of the testes. This is the percent of the body weight of the testes. So in bull, the testes is about 0.03% of the body weight. In boar, that is about 0.2% of the body weight. We also have here the comparative orientation of the testes in different domestic animals. So for bull and the boar, the orientation is vertical. For boar, that is oblique. For stallion and dog, that is horizontal. For dog, the orientation of the testes can be oblique to horizontal. And for rabbit and human, that is vertical. This diagram presents the reproductive tract of a bull and its labeled parts. So the reproductive tract of the bull is of course divided into the external genitalia as well as the pelvic genitalia, or the inner part of the reproductive tract. So of course for the external genitalia, we have here the presence of the penis, the glands penis, the prepuce. We also have here the structures that are contained within the scrotum. For the pelvic genitalia part, so we have here the presence of the different accessory sex glands of the bull, such as the seminal vesicle, the prostate, and the Cowper's gland. Of course, we have here the urethra, the pelvic part of the urethra, and its associated muscles here. And in bull, of course, it has the presence of the sigmoid flexor, as well as the associated retractor penis muscle, as seen here in the green colored muscle. In terms of the orientation of the testes of the bull, of course, it has a vertical type of orientation. So it hangs down away from the body wall. For the ram, we also have a vertical type of orientation of the testes, same as the bull, but of course, it is smaller. Here, the orientation of the boar's testes. So this orientation is an oblique type of orientation. So when the testis descends in the bore, it actually comes down vertically, but it twists down around to this oblique angle before birth. The testis comes down away from the body wall and then bends back up against it. This diagram presents the orientation of the testis of the dog. So it is considered to be horizontal to oblique. Now, sometimes depending on how much these muscles pull the scrotum towards the body wall of the male. For the stallion, it is horizontal, just like in dogs. For human, the orientation is vertical. So generally, why is the orientation important in domestic animals? So the scrotum is, of course, considered as a thermal sensor. If the testis is farther away from the body wall, it can cool better. When the testis is closer to the body wall, just like in animal species having horizontal and oblique type of orientation, it is more difficult to cool the testes. And of course, the testes is important because it is the site where the sperm is developed. This slide presents the orientation of the testes, so the boar, the bull, and the stallion. So the right hand part of this part here represents this part of the slide represents, of course, the head of the animal, and on the left part represents the tail of the animal. So we'll notice here that in all of this testes, the tail of the animal is in the tail of the epididymis. So since this left part here represents the tail of the animal, and this will also correspond to the tail of the epididymis, this portion here and this portion here in the bull. So that of course this is important no because that the tail of the epididymis is where the sperm is stored, and they are stored in multiple ejaculates, and we keep them cool during the storage. So of course this part here, the part towards the tail of the animal, is the coolest point of the testes. This is again a recap of the orientation of the testes. So for the bull, the ram, the rabbit, and humans, the orientation is again vertical. For the boar and the dog, that is oblique. And for the stallion and the dog, that is horizontal. So for a short quiz about the topic, we are going to list down the males with the following orientation to the testes. So vertical, horizontal, and oblique. Of course, for the vertical type of orientation, we have the bull, the ram, the human, and the rabbit with the buck. For the horizontal type, this is exhibited by the stallion and the dog. And for the oblique type, this is exhibited by the boar and the dog. Of course, for the boar, no, the location of the testes is on the perineum or the perennial part. For the other domestic animals, that is located in the inguinal part of the animal. This is another quiz. Which male animal has the largest testes by weight? Of course, in terms of the body weight, the boar has the largest weight of the testes. So the larger the testes, the more sperm that will be produced. And this species produces the most sperm, not the boar. This diagram here represents the internal pelvic region of the male reproductive tract of the bull. Of course, on the top part is the actual specimen. We start here with the DD, the ductus deferens, also known as the vas deferens, one on each side, no, from each of the testes. The sperm will now go to the ampulla. Then we have here the colliculus seminalis. Then it will pass through the accessory sex gland, the VG, vesicular gland, or the seminal vesicle. Then it will pass through of course, the pelvic part of the urethra. Then we have here the PG, the prostate gland, the body of the prostate, and the disseminate part of the prostate is located under the UM or the pelvic urethral muscle. Then it will pass through the Cowper's gland, also known as the bulbourethral gland, which is found beneath this muscle, no, the bulbospongiosus muscle. And we also have here another associated structures is the RPM or the retractor penis muscle. For the ram, so basically the ram's reproductive tract is the same as that of the bull. The only difference is, of course, it is smaller in terms of the comparative size of the different, for example, the different parts and the different accessory sex glands. So the one of the difference between the bull's reproductive tract is there is no body of the prostate in the ram as seen in this diagram. Only the disseminate part of the prostate is present. So the other accessory sex glands such as the seminal vesicles and the Cowper's glands are also present, but again, the body of the prostate is not present in the ram. This is the bore's pelvic part of the genitalia, showing, of course, here the ductus deferens or the vas deferens. We have here the prostate gland, the vesicular gland or the seminal vesicle, the or the pelvic urethral muscle. So, of course, under that is the disseminate part of the prostate. We also have here, notice that in the bore, it has a distinct and a large bulbourethral gland, also known as the Cowper's gland. And we also have here the bulbospongiosus muscle. So in the bore, again, the distinct feature of the bore's pelvic genitalia is that it has a large Cowper's gland, as seen in this diagram, and it has no ampulla, as seen in the this portion here. So the vas deferens is not enlarged to enter this part here of the pelvic genitalia. This is the diagram of the labeled parts of the reproductive organs of the stallion. We're showing here of course, the glans penis. We have the prepuce, the scrotal part. Now showing here the presence of of course, we have here the gubernaculum, the testes, the epididymis, now the caput or the head, the body, and the tail of the epididymis. Then we have here the vas deferens, the urinary bladder, the ampulla. We also have here the prostate gland, the prostate, the seminal vesicle, the Cowper's gland, as well as the retractor penis muscle. This diagram is, of course, the actual specimen for the stallion. So the major difference, one of the major difference between the stallion and the bull is on the penile part. Now for the stallion, it has a muscular vascular type of penis. For the bull, no, it has a fibroelastic type of penis. So the stallion does not have the sigmoid flexor, whereas the bull has of course, the presence of the sigmoid flexor. This is the reproductive tract, particularly the pelvic part of the genitalia of the stallion, showing here the DD, ductus deferens. We have also here the presence of the ampulla, the vesicular gland, the prostate gland, of course, we have here the associated muscle, the pelvic urethral muscle, and we have here also the the Cowper's gland or the bulbourethral gland. So in terms of the major difference with compared to the other domestic animals, so for the accessory sex gland of the stallion, there is no disseminate part. There is the body of the prostate, as shown here, but there is no disseminate part of the prostate. In humans, the sperm passes from the testes to the vas deferens up towards the ampulla to the accessory sex gland, the two seminal vesicles, to the prostate. So in humans, the body of the prostate is distinctly large, but there is no disseminate part of the prostate. We also have here the presence of the Cowper's gland. So the importance of this for the prostate in humans, the prostate may experience benign hyperplasia in more than half of men once they reach the age of 50. So when this happens, the individual can experience a lot of urination as well as difficulty in expelling the urine. So for the dog is, of course, the sperm will be produced from the testes. It will pass through the ductus deferens or the vas deferens. Then for the dog, the feature is unique because there is no ampulla, there is no seminal vesicle, there is no disseminate part of the prostate, only the body of the prostate is present. And the Cowper's gland is also not present in dogs. So this, just like in humans, the male dogs can also experience the what we call benign hyperplasia of the prostate. Of course, that surrounds the pelvic part of the urethra. So in old age, the prostate can swell and it can block the flow of the urine in the dogs. So if this is caused by androgens, which causes the growth of the prostate. So treatment of this can include castration or the removal of the testes, removing the source of testosterone. So the testosterone is one of the causes of the enlargement of the prostate. So after castration, we can expect that the prostate gland can shrink. And of course, this is not applicable in humans. So we also have here for the cat or the tom. So we start here with the vas deferens or the ductus deferens. We also have here the presence of the ampulla, then the colliculus seminalis. We also have here the body of the prostate. In Tom, there is no seminal vesicle. There is no disseminate part of the prostate, only the body of the prostate. We also have here the presence of the Cowper's gland. Of course, there are two. And when we are going to compare the penis of the Tom to the other livestock animals, so it is not that large compared to the other animals. Another feature of the reproductive tract of the Tom is the proximity or the closeness between the Cowper's gland of the animal and the penis. So the penis for both cats and dogs can expand greatly in size during erection. The glans penis of the cat is covered with spines. So the spines become erect during the process of erection. The purpose of the spines is to stimulate the vagina during mating. The female cat or the queen is considered to be an induced ovulator. No? So this means that they do not ovulate or they do not pass an egg unless they are bred or mated. This greatly increases the chances of conception when bred, which is why stray queens often have many kittens per year. This diagram shows the process of erection in cats, particularly in Tom. So this portion here is the Tom, and on the right portion of the screen we have the process of erection. So in the process of erection, we start with the enlargement of the penis. The penis later on extends, and the glans penis and the spines are later exposed. And as you can see here, there is the bending of the penis. On the bottom portion of the diagram, you can see that the male is mounting the female. In this event, the glans penis is exposed so that you can also observe here the biting behavior of the male towards the female. So the male here is biting the neck of the female. This behavior is also exhibited by other induced ovulators. So cats is an induced ovulator. This table presents the comparative of the accessory sex glands of domestic animals, livestock, as well as humans. So, of course, we have here a comparison between the seminal vesicles, the prostate, and the Cowper's gland. So, we have here the number of pluses. So the number of pluses would indicate the size of the accessory sex glands. So, for example, in the boar, we have the most prominent accessory sex glands are the seminal vesicle and the Cowper's gland. For the stallion, the most prominent accessory sex gland is the seminal vesicle. On the other hand, the minus sign here means that the accessory sex gland is not present in this particular animal. So as you can see here in the stallion, the body of the prostate is present, whereas the disseminate part of the prostate can be present or absent. So the minus or the plus indicate now that some stallions have a remnant of it, but generally the disseminate part of the prostate is absent in the stallion. So what accessory sex gland appears to be present in all these species at some point? So as you can see here, among the three accessory sex glands in domestic animals, we can see here that the prostate gland is present, appears to be present in all of the species, whether it is the body only, or the disseminate part of the prostate is present. So the key here is that there are some form of the prostate in every male, whether it is a body or the disseminate part. The others are sometimes present or sometimes absent. For example, in the case of the dog, for example, the seminal vesicle and the Cowper's gland are absent, whereas the prostate is present. But in the case of the dog, the body of the prostate is present, but the disseminate is absent. For the bull, all of the accessory sex glands are present. For humans, on the other hand, um, all are present except for the disseminate part of the prostate. The accessory sex glands can also be responsible for the production of a clot, mucus, or a gel in certain animal species. So in the bull, in the ram, we don't have the clot material, as well as in the dog. No, there is no clot material that is formed by the prostate. So in the boar, we have the presence of the gel. So this gel is produced by the Cowper's gland or the bulbourethral gland. In the stallion, we have the mucus that is secreted by the seminal vesicles. In the dog, there is also no clot material as in the bull and the ram. In humans, there is a clot now that comes from the seminal vesicles. There is also an enzyme from the prostate that converts it into a solidified mass. In humans, the ejaculates clot from ejaculation and then spontaneously liquefy about 30 minutes later. There are other species where the clot does not liquefy. Now, examples of this are the rodents and the llamas. For our recap quiz, so which accessory sex gland is present in all the species we have studied? So in all the species that we have studied, livestock animals as well as in humans and other domestic animals, we have seen that the prostate is present in them, and it can either be the body of the prostate is present or the disseminate part of the prostate is present, or it can be both. This diagram shows the two major types of penis in domestic animals according to its structure. So these are the fibroelastic and the muscular vascular type of penis. So starting with the fibroelastic type of penis, so of course this is exhibited by the bull. The CC here represents the corpus cavernosum, while the CS represents the corpus spongiosum. So for the fibroelastic type of penis, so this type of penis is relatively hard in the non-erect state. So as you can see here, now we have here the presence of the urethra in the corpus spongiosum. The same is true for the other type, which is the muscular vascular type of penis. So for the muscular vascular type of penis, this is also seen in, of course, stallion. Aside from that, it is also the characteristic penis of dogs as well as humans. So when we are going to compare that now with the fibroelastic type in the non-erect state of the muscular vascular type, the CC or the corpus cavernosum is very flaccid. Then it becomes engorged with blood during erection, and the penis extends in length and in width now for the muscular vascular type. So comparing that with the fibroelastic type, so the fibroelastic type does not change much in diameter. It just elongates but not much in diameter during erection. This is another diagram of the human penis cross-section showing the muscular vascular type of penis. Again, the two major parts are the corpus cavernosum and the corpus spongiosum. Of course, we have here the associated blood vessels. So contained within the corpus cavernosum are the large veins. So the CC or the corpus cavernosum is engorged with blood during the erect state. In the bottom is the CS or the corpus spongiosum that contains the urethra. This diagram shows the comparison of the glands penis of different domestic animals, as well as of humans. The left part here represents the fibroelastic type of penis, and the right side here represents the muscular vascular type of penis. So of course, for the fibroelastic type of penis, now they can be differentiated to the muscular vascular type because during erection, there is not much changes in the diameter. Whereas for the muscular vascular type, of course, it has a significant increase in the diameter as well as in the size of the penis during erection. For the fibroelastic type, no, so there is not much change in the diameter, but there is a change in the length, no, of the penis. This is the bull, no, penis. We also have here, no, the stallion. Of course, stallion is a muscular vascular type. And in the non-erect state, the glans is about 3 inches in width, and it changes to about 6 to 7 inches in width in the erect state. We also have here the ram. So beyond the glans penis, we have the extension of the urethra, which is also known as the filiform appendage. Of course, we have here the bore. The bore is unique because it has the characteristic corkscrew-shaped penis, which is considered to be counterclockwise thread. And when the bore thrusts forward, it twists into the cervix of the female and will lock in place. For the stallion, the glans penis enlarges, no, during erection, and as the stallion thrusts forward, it pushes its penis in the cervix, stretching the cervix and sealing off the cervix. For human, we also have here, no, muscular vascular type of penis, and of course for cats, now they have the characteristic presence of the spines in the glans penis. For dogs, of course, the dog has a muscular vascular type of penis, and it has the characteristic presence of the os penis. This diagram shows the comparison of the penis types of domestic animals, the actual picture, and as shown in the textbook. So of course, it is important to note that this picture is not shown to scale, no, because the stallion, of course, has a relatively large glans penis as compared to, for example, the boar and the ram. For the boar, of course, we have here the presence of the corkscrew-shaped glands. For the ram, we have here the presence of the urethral process or the filiform appendage. And for the stallion, we have here the presence of the dark tissue sheath enclosing the free end of the penis. We have here the human penis, and we have here the relative location of the pampiniform plexus in the male human. So one of the problems associated with the pampiniform plexus in humans is the development of the condition known as varicocele. This is also known in layman's term as the varicose veins in the pampiniform plexus. So when there is the presence of this condition, it can cause the development, or it can affect the blood flow towards the testes, and the testes becomes warm as a consequence. So of course, the temperature is very important in the testes, and the pampiniform plexus is important for the countercurrent exchange mechanism. When the function of this pampiniform plexus will be affected, so it can also cause the problems associated with sperm production. For the dog, one of the important structures that is present in the male dog is the bulbus glandis, as shown here, which is important for mating. Of course, the dog also has the presence of the os penis. The bulbus glandis is an important structure in the dog, no, because during erection, it enlarges dramatically. So, of course, the name is a misnomer because it is not a gland. During the semen collection, the person holding the penis up above its bulbous glandis. So when during erection, the bulbous glandis can enlarge dramatically, because of the muscular vascular type of the penis of the dog. So to collect the semen in the dog, it is important to put one's hand around the bulbous glandis, putting pressure on it, and after that, the dog can begin to ejaculate. Mating in dogs is divided into different stages. So in this diagram, you have here the female is on the left, the male is on the right. So initially, what the male do is that it will mount the female, he will begin to get an erection, and he will thrust into the female, then the bulbous glandis will enlarge. This will allow the penis to become stuck into the vagina so that they cannot separate. The male would go into a turn and tie. Tie, TIE means that it is fixed in the female. The female will put contraction on the bulbous glandis and the male would begin ejaculating, which will take about 5 to 20 minutes. At this point, the male will not be able to be released until it loses its erection. So the next stage is the second stage coitus, shown in the diagram. This shows that the penis is located inside the vagina. We also have here the bulbous glandis. The bulbous glandis enlarges dramatically, and the male at this stage, even if it wanted to be released, cannot do so or cannot separate from the female unless he loses his erection. In semen collection, it is important to note that uh, it is important not to use a lubricant during the collection process. This is a diagram of the boar and the bull reproductive tract, showing the presence of the sigmoid flexor in the middle of the penis, which is described to be a bend in the penis. So as the penis becomes erect, the sigmoid flexor will straighten out with, of course, the help of the retractor penis muscle shown in the diagram. So this muscle will relax during erection to extend the penis. This is a diagram of the stallion. Of course, it has the muscular vascular type of penis. And when non-erect, this is quite flaccid and contained within the sheath. The retractor penis muscle is also present, but unlike that of the bull and the boar, it is not that well developed. This is a comparison of the penis of the different animals according to the presence of the sigmoid flexor, according to the type, the presence of the erectile tissue, as well as the glands tissue. For the bull, the ram, and the boar, of course, they have fibroelastic type of penis, and it also has the presence of the sigmoid flexor. In terms of the erectile tissue, not much. And for the boar, the glands tissue is not that distinct. For the stallion, the dog, the cat, and humans, they have a muscular vascular type. In terms of the sigmoid flexor, of course, that is not present. For the amount of the erectile tissue, so they have a much larger amount of the erectile tissue. And in the case of the cat, there is a presence of the spine. This is a table showing the erection and ejaculation characteristics of these animals. For the fibroelastic type of penis, so it has a rapid speed of erection compared to that of the muscular vascular type of penis. For the ejaculation time, so it is shorter in the bull and the ram, and it is longer in the boar. It is the exception for the fibroelastic type of penis. All the others have a moderate to long ejaculation time. In terms of the semen volume, we have here a variable amount of the semen volume according to the species. It is important to note that the semen volume is dependent on the accessory sex gland fluids or secretions. Of course, the larger the accessory sex gland, the bigger is the volume. For example, in the boar and the stallion, they have more prominent Cowper's gland and the bulbourethral gland. So they have a larger uh, amount of fluid or a larger amount of semen or semen volume. So in terms of the sperm number here, the sperm number is dependent on the size of the testes. So the larger the testes, the higher would be the amount of the sperm that will be produced. Uh, for example, as exemplified by the boar, but of course it is not applicable to all species. For the sperm concentration is a function of the volume and the number. Um, it is also written here that the large accessory sex gland would again now contribute to a large volume of the ejaculate, but with lower concentration of the sperm. For our recap quiz, if a penis has a sigmoid flexor, then it is a muscular vascular or fibroelastic. The sigmoid flexor is of course a characteristic of the penis of those animals having a fibroelastic type of penis, such as the bull, the boar, and the ram.